Uh-oh. Jason has allergies. No. Jason's heart is crying, and so is his face.
So is the Rover.
The Rover's face is definitely different.
On this episode of the Carmudgeon Show, we talk about the upgrades that I made to the lovely 1980 Rover SD1 V8. That
erstwhile lovely.
There's been an incident. I incidented
the Rover
into another vehicle.
Wow. Well, okay. On this episode of the Carmudgeon Show, very much not sponsored by Haggerty Insurance, but presented by the Haggerty Podcast Network or similar, with Derek Tam-Scott and Jason Camisa. We'll talk about car insurance.
Or claims.
And claims.
And accidents.
Yeah.
And why you shouldn't smash into other cars on the road.
Whoa. Just insight after insight.
I mean, surprise.
Amazing.
Good advice.
Okay, well.
Don't clap too hard. You might break the Rover. Perfect.
It's a nice, gentle one for the Rover.
Thank you. That sucks. Was that the moment of silence for the...
Yeah, it was an moment of silence.
Okay. We can now go to the little...
The jingle.
I'm going to go cry. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
The things are dinging.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That means the on-air sign is on air. I think from that camera.
Illuminated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have something you want to share with the class?
I think they can't miss it.
You've given your car strabismus.
Strabismus?
Strabismus.
What is strabismus?
Oh, that's son of an ophthalmologist. Misaligned eyes.
Oh.
It's when their eyes point different directions.
Oh, okay, yeah. We call that cross-eyed where I come from.
Not if one's pointing out.
Oh, well, it's just so cross-eyed. Lazy-eyed?
Yeah.
The
Rover
has hit something.
Did not move over.
Move over. Yes.
The Rover has hit something.
This is one of those episodes that I didn't want to do.
Yet here we are, against Jason's will.
Yeah. In my defense, I do believe this is my first chargeable insurance claim in 30 years.
Congratulations.
In 1995, I smacked a curb in my Corolla. I did watch the cop get out of his car and slip and fall on the diesel oil that has been spilled in the intersection. So that was my excuse on why it wasn't my fault, but it was 100% my fault. Part of growing up...
Did he actually fall?
He didn't go down, but he
had one of those the slow motion comedy,
where the cartoon character, you have the drums. Yeah. I thought it was funny. He didn't. That was a long time ago. So part of becoming an adult is admitting when you've done wrong, and I've done wrong to the Rover. I beat up a pickup truck.
Pickup truck?
Well, you can see what happened is that clearly the bumper height of the Rover
did not correspond.
Does not correspond.
And you can't even blame it on your sagging front springs.
No. Oh my God. You know, had I not replaced the springs, I would have just driven completely under the
pickup truck.
Okay, so this is what happened. I was driving down to Jay Leno's garage to to film a segment on this car. I don't know when this episode's going to air, so I don't know, and I also don't know when Jay Leno's garage episode's going to air.
It could be live right now.
Could already be live.
It could also not be live.
Could also not be live. And so I left my house at 4:00 in the morning, knowing it's about a 5-hour drive, and I needed to be there by 11. So that was giving me enough time to go down there, check into a hotel, take a shower, and just be refreshed and be on
air.
And I made a deal with myself. And this is one of those things that if you ever hear me say these words again, kick me between the legs. Because I said, Jason, you're going to act like an adult. Stupidest words you can ever utter.
You can ever utter.
I could ever utter. Because some people just aren't meant to be adults, and I'm one of them. And the reason I did this was Leno's crew had a whole bet. They had a pool going on how I was going to break down. not whether I was going to break
Really?
down. Yeah. And his
But
producer...
they don't know the history of this Rover and its impeccable reliability record.
For long distance runs, like when we bought it in Edmonton, Alberta, and drove it down.
I still can't believe we did that.
Me neither. Me neither.
You were such a mess.
I was a mess.
You were
I was
very,
convinced
very
we were going
stressed
to
because
die. Yeah.
for the same reason that Jay Leno's crew was. They were just convinced that the car wasn't going to make it.
Yeah, and his producer is a fun guy, and we had a laugh over it. And he's like, I hope you're not offended, but like those cars wouldn't have made a 400-mile drive when they were new. So there's no way you're making it here.
Yeah.
Like, you sure you don't want to ship
the
it?
round of cheers that erupted when you're within AAA range.
Yeah, that's right. On the oh God. So I left at 4:00 in the morning, and the deal that I made was none of my normal hijinks. Not that I would have ever done that unless I was in Mexico, but there are portions of highways that are in Mexico, in the Mexico that connects San Francisco and Los Angeles,
Right.
where there's
Opportunity
nothing. There's just nothing around.
for exercise.
Yes, and I thought there will be no top speed runs. Although the top speed of this car is barely enough to get you arrested. There will be no BS, right? And the deal was, so one of the most taxing parts of the journey on the car, not on you, is the Grapevine, which is a 4,000-foot climb. Gradually at first to the 1,000-foot mark, and then basically straight up a flight of stairs for 3,000 feet before you get to LA. And I decided, fifth gear, no downshifting, just chill out. My normal way of dealing with that hill is
The right shoulder at the limiter in third gear.
why the right shoulder and not the left one, Derek? No, is
Because, I don't know, there's less traffic in the right lane because America.
yes, exactly. So my normal thing is just go up the hill at a normal rate of speed and just weave through the stupid people who can't figure out how to press their gas pedal. Because so it's a 65 zone, and most of the traffic will. So you have the people who are conscious that stay at a normal speeds, i.e., 65 to 75 miles an hour, and then the people who just continuously slow down for no reason. And then you wind up with these clumps of people who are all traveling together in each other's blind spots, pacing a truck that's in the right lane with its flashers on doing 31 miles an hour. And the intersection between those two types of people can be very dangerous. And so I just avoid by going around them all. Started out through the clump. In this case, all right. So anyway, so it's now 8:30 in the morning or whatever time it was, and I'm in the right lane, and the car is doing spectacularly. I should start out by saying I just did like 75 the whole way. Starting 80, the engine started to sound a little vocal, right? Mm-hmm. So it's 75, 77, 78 miles an hour. It's a 70 zone. This thing was a magnificent cruiser because now with the new suspension on it, you know how good it was on
round wheels.
Before. Round wheels, or round tires, I should say.
Both.
I just kept thinking, my God, this thing is such a great cruiser. And the only thing I planned to tell Jay Leno was the only real huge demerit on this car is hold on.
Is that it could stand another 100 horsepower.
Well, there's that. What's the first thing we did when we bought this car in Alberta?
Express the anal glands. There's a photo.
Oh no, you're going to have to dig it up now.
Easy. It was like June 14th, 2022 or something like that.
Whatever date it was. What happened was we got on the road and
torrentially rained.
Yes. And it filled the trunk with liquid, and we expressed that the next morning. No, the biggest deficiency that we noted was that you couldn't see a goddamn thing out of this car. Mm-hmm. And remember that.
Yeah, the mirrors are
useless.
Yeah. They have however many degrees of freedom, infinite degrees of freedom, I think it is.
But the one drops, the one is the angle. So whatever it is, even when that left side mirror is adjusted properly, you just can't see a goddamn thing out of the back of this car. And the way the pillar is, you turn around and you can see a little bit, but you can't see into your own blind spot. So we stopped and bought stick-on 1-inch convex mirrors, if you remember. First thing we bought for the car at Canadian Tire was those mirrors. Because if you remember, our buddy was like, I can't make a lane change. I can't see anything in this goddamn car. You said the same thing. We were all like spinning around like, oh, I think there's a building there, or there's a truck there, or there's a jet plane, whatever it was. So on the ride down, what I realized was I started out obviously in the pitch darkness. And then as it became light, I realized the mirrors are a big problem in the daylight, because in the dark, I can see the person's headlight. So I know there's someone in that blind spot. In the daylight, can't figure it out. So I was going to say to Jay, like, hey, it's a great cruiser up to about 78, 80 miles an hour. There's a little bit of vibration left. I'm sure there's like a bent axle or whatever the hell it is, just very mild, but it's a magnificent cruiser with great ride quality, just relaxed power, great seats, but you can't trust the mirrors, right? So I came up with the way I was going to talk about the mirrors. Back in the day, were criticized by the magazines, saying they were worthless, I think was the term that they used. And so...
At least it has them.
That's true. We did drive your Jaguar just now, and it does not have mirrors.
It has the interior mirror.
I don't understand how it doesn't have side mirrors. Is that not a thing in 1957?
You could add them if you wanted to, but it wasn't standard.
That's crazy. So anyway, so here I am in the right lane, started out at about 75 miles an hour and, start to go up the grade, and it settled in right at about 70. And I thought, okay, fine. Foot on the floor, fifth gear. A lot of airflow coming in. There's no one around. And so the rightmost lane of the Grapevine, which is I-5 South, is for trucks, and that's where I was. Trucks often can do 25, 30 miles an hour, and they, flashers on below 45. And so a couple of times I sort of went around. If that is the rightmost lane, we'll call that one, even though I think California does it the opposite way.
It's the opposite. You go left to right as one would read, for example.
But that's the driving lane and everything else is passing lane, so that should be the number one lane.
But you're numbering them from left to right.
Okay, anyway, I'm in the rightmost lane. I would go one lane over and back, and one lane over and back, and whatever. And the speed was sort of steady, temps were steady, and it was everything I had to not just downshift into third floor and just fly up this hill, because it's so much fun to exercise a car. Eventually, I wound up one lane over, passing a line of trucks with a silver pickup truck next to me. And so he was now in the third lane from the right. I'm in the second, he's in the third. And it was probably 3 miles of him directly to my left. And I'm just foot on the floor. Like, I'm going to do whatever this car does in fifth gear, and that's all there is to it. And after like 20 seconds, I start to get like, I need an escape route. Like, I got to get away from this guy. No, Jason, you're going to act like an adult. So no downshifting, no passing. And of course, I don't want to slow down anymore, because then I'm not going to be able to speed back up.
Mm-hmm. It's called getting behind the power curve.
Yes.
In an airplane, at least.
Oh, really?
Is it also in a car?
I don't know.
In an airplane, it's called getting behind the power curve.
All I kept thinking is, I don't want to let the guys win.
And in an airplane, you can't down change gears, so it's much more problematic.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just not going to downshift and bang off a 5,000 RPM run up this hill, blow the motor, and prove those guys right. So just stay where I am. So after a couple minutes, I started to get like, come on, like, just what are you doing? And I'm looking up to try to see the driver. Is this person like taking pictures? Because that had already happened a couple times on the road. People pace you and they take pictures because they don't know what the fuck the car is. And I finally got a glimpse of the guy. I moved it right enough that I could see he's just out to lunch, looking straight ahead, doesn't even realize that he's pacing me. Okay, fine. I just sat there. And now I see pretty far in the distance, we're approaching 2 trucks that are side by side. So I have no choice but to go downshift and floor it and pass him, or duck in behind him. And this is where the errors started, i.e., Jason, stop trying to be an adult because you're emulating something you're never going to be.
We're doing root cause analysis right now.
Yes. Well, I've had a lot of time to think about it.
Or are you familiar with Dr. Reason's Swiss cheese model?
No.
It's when something goes wrong. If you imagine a bunch of slices of Swiss cheese laid successively, the holes will not align, usually. However, in the rare cases where the holes all align and a fault gets through, those are all your sort of safety mechanisms that are supposed to prevent something from going wrong. And if you do have a situation where all of the holes do align, then the safety nets the mechanisms that are designed to prevent a failure or a problem
fail to prevent the problem.
And the problem gets through. So anyway, we're passing gate number 1, or slice of Swiss cheese number 1 right now.
I mean, slice of 1 was don't let me on the roads.
Okay, sure. So then we're at slice number 4 or 78 or whatever it is, but there are more to come.
So I just make the decision, like, let me just lift for just long enough to duck in behind him and then floor it and see if I can, like, keep up with him. And I did. He slowed down. At this point, we're probably in the mid-50s, like under 90 kilometers an hour. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. All right, fine, whatever. So I ducked behind this pickup truck, floor it, and wound up being able to pace him, right? Because he had sort of at some point slowed down. And I'm behind him, and I'm like, okay, this has got to end now. I can't do 40 something miles an hour up the hill. I will have enough power to accelerate a little bit past him. So I start to look over, and what I realize is no one is there. No one is in my mirror, and if I turn my head, there is no car there. However, there is a white Nissan Sentra that's visible in the little tiny convex mirror. So I keep looking over, and I'm looking around, and I know the motherfucker is there, but I cannot figure out where this person is. And this goes on for maybe, I don't know, it felt like an eternity, probably 20 seconds, where I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm like, you know what? There's one way around this. I'm going to put my turn signal on and I'm going to start to nudge over to the left, right? And it's a narrow car, right? There's plenty of room on the lane. He'll see me coming and will honk, flash a light, or more likely, he'll move that car will move into a position where I can tell where it is and then either abort my lane change or continue, right? But I got to get out of here because now I'm on the tail of a pickup truck. I have no air and I'm thinking, now I'm going to overheat. Like this is I'm trapped. So I put the turn signal on and I start to move over and I'm just looking. And of course I see the car in the convexy, but I don't see the car in the regular mirror. And so I'm like, well, I just sort of duck forward. I mean, it's kind of hard to do, especially if you guys are listening and not watching this, but I'm like moving my face, plastering it against the window to look more closely and see where this effing car is. And I do 1, 2, and the third time I duck in and look. And as I'm ducking in and looking at the little convex mirror, bam. Okay. Felt like a large mosquito. I mean, I barely felt it. It wasn't really actually an impact. It was just a, and I'm like, oh shit. And I look forward and of course I have a windshield full of pickup truck. So immediately I'm like, okay, so I just hit a pickup truck and it's my fault. Right? Part of being an adult is saying it's my fault, right? I wanted to commit a murder might be a strong way of saying that, but there was a sentiment close to that. Like why did he slow down? Like there's no one in front of us except for miles because this guy has been going so slow for so long. But there are 2 trucks that were about to pass and he must have just lifted or got scared or just fallen asleep or Jesus told him to, whatever it is, it's my fault. I hit him. So I then put my signal on and we go over on the side of the road and I fully expect to see a scuff in that 43 mile an hour bumper, right? I mean, like these bumpers are so big and they're on shocks or whatever. I fully expected to see no damage at all. So we both pull over and there's like a dirt pull away and I walk around to the front of the car and I see this damage. And I was like, holy shit. Like this car crumpled. I missed the bumper completely and it just hit in the headlight effectively. So of course, then I walk right, I take one look at this and I'm like, oh no. Like I walk over and this guy is shell shocked. He looks very like wide-eyed and suddenly awake. And I'm like, you okay? And he nods and I'm like, sorry. Like, I don't know what else to say, like other than sorry. And so I just go like, let me look at your truck. So I look at the truck, I scraped his bumper. There's beautiful Persian aqua paint all over his chrome bumper. And I took a picture of the car, I took a picture of his truck, and I went back and I'm like, oh, sorry, okay, here's my insurance, here's my driver's license. He takes a picture of my stuff. I said, can I take a picture of your license? He said, yeah. I said, call your insurance company. They'll be hearing from you will be hearing from my insurance company. Sorry, and bye. I just got out of there. So I just get back on the road and I'm like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Now I have to make a decision in real time. Do I turn around and go home or pull over and like inspect the car more? I don't have a turn signal. I don't have a headlight on that side anymore. And then I thought about it. Number one, there were 2 cars that were supposed to be filming that morning at Leno's garage. One is a car that we've interacted with in the past, and I set up that appearance and the car broke. And so I knew they were down 1 car to film. Now they're going to have a whole crew set up and everyone ready to go for 2 cars down. That sucks. But more importantly, I thought, what I want to do right now is just crawl into a hole and pretend this didn't happen and never talk about this again. fix the car, put it back on the road, put a smile on my face and say, what headlight? What I realized was I am an employee of Hagerty, which is a classic car insurance company. There is no better marketing tool for Hagerty than me talking about this. And what I realized was the potential benefit to Hagerty is far greater than the embarrassment to me for having punted a pickup truck in a 45-year-old Rover up a hill. So I called Leno's guys, told them what happened. And they're like, what do you want to do? Is the car drivable? I'm like, I'm driving it now. Like, so I'll come in. And they're like, well, you're a hero. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, it happens. And so
shift happens even.
I'm wearing the shirt on purpose. In case you can't see it, shift happens is one of Hagerty's slogans. All right. Let me start out by saying I am an employee of Hagerty Media, right? We create media for the benefit of Hagerty. I am not an insurance employee. I'm not an insurance salesperson. I'm not an insurance broker. I know nothing more about insurance than anyone else does other than what I've been exposed to. And I've been with Hagerty for 4.5 years. Well, yeah. I have been a Hagerty customer for 20. And I've had a couple claims through the years. I think this is the first one that's my fault. But they did, for example, pay out when I got rear-ended in the Honda Beat. And Hagerty did pay out when I hit the deer. Now, I presume they subrogated, meaning they went after the hit-and-run woman who hit me in the Beat.
I hope so. She certainly deserved it.
She certainly deserved it. But I don't think they were able to subrogate and go after
the deer.
Right?
Because it was dead.
Because it was dead, and also, Bambi's
uninsured motorist.
Uninsured motorist. And my claims, the claims process has been magical, which is why when I was given the opportunity to come and work for Hagerty, I said yes, because I believe in the insurance product. We have never talked about insurance on this show before, and that's for a reason. I don't want to sit here and be like, well, you should have whatever. But this is an opportunity to talk about what the claims process is like with Hagerty insurance for me, right? Maybe your mileage may vary, versus what my insurance has been with other insurance companies. So I've had another insurance company, another policy since January 7th, 1994. And it's another company. Think of it as Province Pasture. We don't need to name that. But I've had claims through the years with other insurance companies, and I have a direct AB. So we're going to talk about that.
I've had actually very good, those are the two insurance companies that I have also used my entire life, and I have had actually...
Province Pasture?
Yes, very good experiences with both them and Hagerty. Although I will say that I recently heard from somebody with a Elise SC, and they said, hey, would you mind telling me what that other supercharged Elise that you sold, what that sold for? Because they're trying to give me 50 cents on the dollar of what the car was worth. And I was like,
who is they?
Province Pasture. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Like whatever you need, I am happy to help provide information, because that's really awful when that happens to you. And so yes, it definitely, the experience, I mean, I think any car person who's had insurance experiences knows that if it's something that you love and is very dear to you, some person shows up and has no idea what the significance of a...
Insert name of car.
Choose anything extraordinary, especially if there's like a sort of pedestrian equivalent to it, or it's an exceptionally nice example, or, whatever.
I went through this with the Scirocco. So in 2000... Yeah, I had the car insured with Pasture Insurance, and there was 2 lanes. I think at some point I've dug out the photo of this accident, but there were 2 lanes of traffic. The right lane was stopped. The left lane was moving at probably 20 miles an hour. There was a mall to my right, and somebody waved out a black Chevy Cavalier, and just waved him out, and I was coming, and so I just boom and hit him.
This is how you ended up with front wheels in different locations, right?
No, that's was the curb incident that I hit. That was no claim. I just hit a curb and pushed the wheel back and didn't fix it for 20 years. Thought thought I had fixed it, paid someone to fix it, and found out he didn't, if you remember correctly. That was, to exaggerate slightly, one of the most upsetting events of my life. So I was dealing with both passenger insurance company, right? But also it was a very clear at-fault accident. It was at the other guy's fault entirely because he blew through, he just pulled out in front of an oncoming car. And I think that was Geico. I think his insurance was Geico. And I wound up bringing my car to a bunch of different places to get my Scirocco to a bunch of different places. And it was just, without question, your car is totaled, right? Yep. The car's value is like $2,500. Yep. And it didn't matter that I had an appraisal for the car that showed that the car was worth like 10, I think it was at the time. Everyone was like, this is going to be an uphill battle. They're going to take your car away from you. And I'm like, the fuck they are. No one is taking this car away from me. And I didn't understand at the time that your insurance company can't take your car away from you.
Yes, you have to sign the title.
Right.
It's voluntary.
Right. But I was told they're going to take your car away. It doesn't matter. I, at the time would have considered I'll buy it back and I'll have a salvage title, whatever. I didn't even know any of that stuff. I was 20-something, 23 years old, 24 years old. The fight that I put up to get that car fixed was award-winning. Award-winning. I wound up showing up at the adjuster's house at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, and I backed up my 190 to his front door, and I mean across his yard. And I rang the doorbell. And so, of course, I had looked him up, and I figured out where he lived and whatever. We had gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I said, you're not totaling the fucking car. I don't give a shit what you think this car is worth. I didn't use those words, right? I'm unconcerned with your little book that tells you what the car is worth. I have an appraisal. I know what the car is worth, and you're going to fix it. You're going to undo the damage that your insured inflicted on my car. I'm the victim here. We went back and forth, and it was just this, like, I was geared up for a fight from hell. And finally wound up at his front door, rang his doorbell with the trunk open, and he was like, can I help you? I'm like, I'm Jason Camisa. And he's like, okay, and I'm like, claim number, whatever, is a claim against whatever, your guy and me. And he was like, and I'm like, the trunk of this Mercedes is filled with my trophies, photos of the car, and documentation of everything that's been done to it. And I just started handing him binders and trophies, and he couldn't hold them. And he's like, I get the point. I'm like, you don't get the point. You will get the point when you understand you're going to put this car back on the road. No questions asked. Don't make me sue you, right, to get this done. It was a nasty fight. Eventually, the car got fixed because the dealership that I had. So a friend of mine worked at a new car dealership. He was a priest. This was the best part. He was excommunicated from the Catholic Church, probably because he was my friend, but also because he did a lot of things he probably shouldn't have done, and then wound up getting a job at this car dealer, which cracked me up because I'm like, you went from like pushing religion on people that they don't want to now pushing, luxury cars onto people. We had a big laugh about this.
This is the guy with the Impala SS, isn't it? Yes, I've heard some stories about
Father
him.
Jim. God, you remember all of my dirt. So Father Jim works at this dealership. I'm in the corner and is at his desk. And there was a guy who I don't think is with us anymore named Lou Hollaba. And Lou was not general manager. I think he was sales manager at the dealership. And he said to Jim after I left, why is your buddy so upset? Because you saw how absolutely distraught I was over this. And he's like, they're going to total the car. He's no say in it. I mean, it's not even close. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was like not even close. And Lou pulled a move where he called the insurance company and verbally gave them a price. I'm sure a statute of limitations is gone. God forbid I go to jail for this. I'm kidding. I wasn't me. Lou just said, leave your car. That's all I was told. He's like, we got you. Send me all the parts. So it took me a while, but I got a hood, I got a core support, I got everything that I needed for the repair. And he said, just bring them to me. And the day after I brought all the parts, Lou calls and says, come and get your car. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, come and get it out of here right now. And I'm like, Lou, I'm at work. Get your car out of here now, kid. I'm like, okay. So I take a taxi and I pull out and my car is done. It's in the back, painted, fixed. And I, of course, full tears, like, what is going on? Get it out of here now. Okay, what do I owe you? We'll deal with that later.
Okay.
So I get in the car and I drive away, and the whole car's been painted. The entire car, painted. Okay, and they give me a handful of photos, and they're like, take this and get out of here. They took pictures of the car in the paint booth for me. They did the whole thing, fixed the whole car. What had happened was Lou pulled a bit of a move where he gave one price verbally to the insurance company, got a verbal okay, and fixed the car. And before they could even process what happened, the car was already back in my hands. So it was now a fight between the dealership and their insurance company, and I was never involved about it. I don't know what it cost anyone. It's none of my business. I got my car back. I bought Lou Christmas presents every year from that point on. Like, what am I going to do? Had that not happened, I don't even know how the story would have ended, right? Same thing with my E30. If I had had regular insurance on it when I hit that deer, it just would have been a disaster. The difference between, well, let's talk about this. All right. So the E30, I'm an idiot, and I had it insured for, I think, $12,000 at the time, which was far less than the car's value. The difference between Hagerty, which is an agreed value policy, and traditional car insurance is when you start to
agreed or guaranteed.
It's an agreed. So Hagerty calls it guaranteed, but as far as I'm concerned, it's you're agreeing to a value. Mm-hmm. You're having discourse with a potential business partner about what you'd like to insure your car for. And that doesn't have to be market value. It can be replacement cost. And that was a lesson that I was given by Donald Osborne, who coincidentally works with Leno, but is an appraiser and runs now the Audrain Museum. Years ago, I asked him he wanted to drive the Scirocco because he had one when they were new. I told him, no one gets to drive my car. And he pushed, and I'm like, fine, appraise my cars for me so I know what to insure them for. And the lesson that he gave me was you don't necessarily insure a car like this for market value because you have too much invested in it. How many engines have you built? How much stuff have you done to it? Modifications, da-da-da-da-da. So come up with what will make you whole if this car gets crashed, which is find another one, build another motor, to make all the mods that you've done, make the substantive improvements that you've done, and make sure you're covered for sales tax and registration and shipping and all that other stuff. And so I wound up dramatically increasing the value of all the cars that were insured. But we'll back up. The E30, I had valued at probably $12,000 when it was probably worth $30,000. And it started out where I had that car insured for years, and it appreciated, and I stupidly didn't change the value of the car. I hit a deer. The adjuster comes to my house, and of course, now I want to paint a picture, right? Like I have my prized possession, my prized E30 is crumpled. So I back in the 3 cars into my 2-car garage, as I'm wont to do. Mercedes Cosworth, Scirocco 16 valve, and the E30 in the middle. And this guy shows up, and I meet him outside, and I'm like, hi, and he's, okay, so where's the car? And I open the garage door, and the garage door opens, and this guy goes, oh my God, a Scirocco 16 valve. And I thought, praise Jesus. Like, this guy knows what he's looking at. And he's like, oh my God, a flash silver 16 valve. I haven't seen one of these in so years. Is that a Euro Cosworth? Okay, I have hit the jackpot. The appraiser knows exactly what he's looking at. So he makes a big deal of the other cars, and he looks at the E30, and he's like, man, an E30 Touring. That's really cool. And so he's looking around, and I'm like shaking. I'm like, I know they're going to total this car. Like, I know that we're going to be back to where I was because I had it insured for so much less than it's worth, and that damage has got to be way in excess of $12,000 just because the number of panels hit. Like, I knew I needed fender, hood, fender, grill, lights, bumper. There was just a lot of stuff. So the guy starts looking around. He's like, all right, let me do this. Let me just give me a chance to look around. Can you pull it out for me so we can really walk around? And he calls me back outside about a half an hour later. And he said, look, this is going to be a lot. And I'm like, I know, I'm really nervous about totaling the car. And he explained to me, he said, I am freelance and I work for a freelance appraiser and I work for a bunch of different companies. If I were here for insert name of company, you'd be in tears. You're fine. Hagerty will work with you. And I'm like, I have it underinsured. I don't even know what your number is, but I have it underinsured. He's like, they will work with you. And that made me feel a lot better. And he said, what I want to do and what my job is to do is to put your car back on the road. Say what? Like, that's not been my experience with car insurance companies. The company is not there to put the car back on the road. They're there to cash out as cheaply as they possibly can, screw you, screw everyone, junk your car, and have you walk away in tears. That was my impression from every other claim that I'd ever had, including the Scirocco. So he's like, I want your car back on the road. And he's like, look, here's the problem that I'm having with your car is, do I really want to paint fender, hood, fender, grill, spoiler, door, half the roof? Where do I stop? And I'm like, you stop wherever you need to do. He's like, at this point, you're never going to match this paint. Like, I got to paint the whole car. And I'm like, that's going to throw it over total value. And he's like, okay, just work with me. So he calls me the next day and he's like, I'm going to submit the lesser of the two claims because you're so concerned that it's going to be totaled. But really,
is he not allowed to know what you have it insured for?
I don't know if I told him, but either way, he's like, let's do the minimum here and let's just talk about where we wind up. And then if you need to do a supplement, if we have to do more work on, we will. Okay. Fair point. The number was $11,000 worth of damage. And now I have the car insured for 12. So we're totaled. So
what's the threshold for totaling?
85. I think it was 85% of the time. Again, I'm not an insurance person. I'm an employee of no one to do with anything insurance. So I get a call from an adjuster. When I first called in, by the way, it was like, hi, thank you for calling Haggerty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I crashed. I hit a deer. And my expectation was, what are you doing driving the car? Why are you out? Why, blah, blah, blah. And it was, no, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just upset. Is the car okay? Car's okay. How about the deer? And of course, I'd have to be me. I'm like, motherfucker's dead, right? I killed it. And that sort of broke the tension and we started laughing. And it's like, okay, we're going to send an appraiser out. We're going to just or an assessor out. We're going to do what it takes and we'll regroup. So I get a phone call and this woman's like, so we have a problem here, which is that your car's effectively totaled. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not willing to total the car. I'm just not willing to total it. It's not going away over this, right? And so we had some back and forth about what the actual value of the car was, and it basically came back as $30K is what we thought the car was really worth. And I said, well, can't you just do it as like 85% of ACV, which is actual cash value, and we're below that, so you can just pay it out and not total it? And she's like, no, it's going to be 85% of your policy limits, and that's not going to cover the damage. And I'm like, well, can we make out a deal with a one-time payment where you pay me 85% of the car's value, of the policy value minus a cent, and don't total it, and I get to keep my car and I'll cover the rest? And that was acceptable. Like, it wound up being a little bit less. Whatever it was, they understood. Whoever adjusted, and this is, by the way, 10, 15 years before I worked for Haggerty, right? I wasn't a public figure at that point. I'm just customer. We worked out a settlement where it was a one-time payment. They put the car on like a storage-only insurance because they knew I was going to drive it. And our thing is, we'll send you this check. You fix the car, and when you're done, call it back to us, and we'll reappraise. We'll agree on a new value of the car, and we'll fix this, and we'll put it back on the road. Whatever. I mean, it took a year, but my thought was, I'm mixing paint. I'm not going to paint half the car. I'm not going to fix half of everything. I shipped it down to San Diego, Carl Nelson's shop, which is, what is that town? La Jolla, La Jolla, BMW, independent BMW, cut the floor out for me and replaced it with a West Coast floor that had no rust in it, cut out some rust everywhere else. I got a new hatch from Germany. I got a new glass from Germany. We took this car from a very nice 150,000 mile car to a car that won its first Concours. I made it perfect. And it cost me a lot of money, but I was happy to do it. Like, this is the time you take to upgrade your car. It's like, if it's in the shop anyway, do it. I could not have been happier with the claims process. Did I get the whole accident covered by Haggerty? Of course not. But that was my own fault. I'd undervalued the car. That was the moment at which I said, I don't care. And I'm sure the insurance side of our business is going to hate me saying this. I don't care what it costs to insure this car. I'm never going back to State Farm. Sorry, Provincial Pasture Insurance. What I realized was, You negotiate the value of your car when you have all the power, when you're dealing with a guaranteed value or an agreed value policy, right? I want to give you my business. You need to agree to this value. And it's a discourse. Hey, I think my E30 is worth $1.7 million. You say,
you're a little bit insane.
how dare you? I'm a lot insane.
Is there another number that would work for you?
How about 50,000? And you would say, maybe that's a little high. We show comps at 41 and 42 and 43. Maybe you can give us an explanation on why 50 matters. Well, it's got this and that and the other thing and whatever. And we say, okay, how about we're going to agree on $47,000. Yes, that becomes not policy limit, not a policy anything else. This is the agreed guaranteed value that you say you're going to pay me if anything happens to the car. We shake hands, we agree on this, I pay premiums based on that, and we move on. Traditional insurance will assess your car
after,
when you have no power.
Yes, when you need to make a claim.
When you're fucked, right? And so province insurance, or whatever it was, Geico, whatever that other guy's insurance company was now 25 years ago, to remember, realized the car's already, Jason Scirocco was already crashed. What's he going to do? Uncrash it? Nope. Our insured already screwed him over. We're just going to fight with him until he goes away. Versus somebody who's on your side saying, yeah, we agreed that the value of this car is going to be X amount of dollars. How can we help? Okay. That was the point at which I said, never again would I have traditional car insurance on any of the things that mean a lot to me. Of course, I have traditional insurance on my e-Golf, right? Would I love to have Haggerty on it? Of course. I'd love to have an agreed value because I have more invested in it.
One of the categories or contingencies of Haggerty is that you have to have some regular transport device that's insured with conventional insurance.
Well, look, the company is, again, I'm not an employee of the insurance side of Haggerty, but my understanding, the company is set up to insure things that are people's babies, right? Yeah. Insuring everything from a 1965 Mustang that goes out once a month for ice cream to a 250 GTO that's worth, I don't know, you tell me, $50 million, whatever.
60 or 70.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I wonder what the insurance premiums on that are like. But either way.
Probably less than you think.
I don't know what to think on a $70 million car.
When I tell people what the premiums are for the Miura, they are surprised that they're not higher.
Well, this has got to be baked into actuarial data, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, I think I have 9 cars insured with Haggerty. I'm going to do everything I can to keep them out of harm's way. Not because I care about Haggerty's bottom line, sorry, but because I don't want anything to happen to my cars. And
yes, I think that they are operating under that assumption, and their actuarial calculations reflect that. It also has to do with, I'm always mind-boggled at how I'll have 2 different cars insured for the same amount and how the premiums are radically different because of the sort of actuarial calculations that go into the risk profile associated with this car versus that car.
My E30s are 4 or 5 times, maybe 3 times as expensive as other cars that I've had that are the same value.
Why do you think I like old man cars so much? Nobody ever crashes or steals them, so they're incredibly cheap to insure for very high numbers.
The Lotus was expensive.
Yeah,
and so by the way,
because it's very easy to do a $15,000 parking lot bonk.
Can you even do only $15,000 parking?
Are they more than that? 20?
I don't know.
For a clamshell?
Luckily, I never had a claim on that car. Yeah. But no, that was and by the way, that's not a classic car in the sense, but Haggerty does insure them as exotics and sort of, and
as a special interest car.
Yeah, no one's dailying, at least not no one. But anyway, so this claim, for example, so I make the decision to go down to Leno's, and I said to the guys, look, let's just film the car as it is. I haven't seen the episode yet. I don't know what they cut out, so I'm just going to tell you what actually happened because editing makes things better. I said, listen, would you just do me a favor? Let's start the episode out. The episodes always start out. This is my 4th appearance on Jay Leno's Garage. And they always start out the same way. The front 3/4 of the car. Jay walks out, introduces the car, says a couple things about it, and then brings me on. And this time I said, would you just do me a favor and start with the back of the car? And so it looks fine. And then we'll spin it around. And they're like, we'll just put it on Go-Jacks and have the crew come out and spin it around while Jay's talking. And Jay, right off the bat, is like, hey, welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. I'm here with our friend Jason Camisa and his beautiful, probably didn't say beautiful, but in my mind he said beautiful Rover SD1. Now this is whatever car. And we had a pool going on how he was going to break down and that he wasn't going to make it here without incident, I think was the line he used. Whatever it is. Whoop, they spin the car around and I walk out. I'm like, well, there was an incident. My point was, this was a great opportunity for me to actually parrot Haggerty's line of shift happens, because it's true. If you take your cars out into the world and drive them, eventually something is going to happen. That's why you need to have good insurance, and I have great insurance, and I buy everything. The values that I have the cars insured at are replacement cost, which factors in what it would genuinely take if that car got hit with an asteroid. I want to sit back and hire someone like you to go find me another one, right? And that means paying you, paying sales tax on it when I get it and whatever. And thank God I had that insured for more than market value. Not that much more than market value, but enough that I would be able to find another beautiful SD1 in that condition. Do not blink like that when I say beautiful.
I have not blinked at all.
Yeah, you tried. You were like, you're going to say. I wanted to find, I have it insured for such that I would be able to replace this with a comparable condition SD1. That was my goal. Thank God. So this is now I'm on speakerphone with Leno, with the claims people at Haggerty, right? And in front of Leno's people, because I'm changing. Like, we have 3 minutes before we have to go on. And I'm like, I just need to know right now, I'm about to film for the next 3 hours, how the fuck I'm getting this car home. Like, what do I do with it? I'm 400 miles from home. By the time we're done filming, I'm not going to be able to make it home without lights. So I can't drive back home now. I frankly don't think it's safe until I sort of open the hood and look and see what's loose. I don't want stuff, a headlight flying off and hitting another car. What do I do? So the claims person is like, when I say ridiculously helpful, I don't want that to sound like a bad thing. It was like, it sucks. Imagine a world in which your friend calls you and says, I had an accident. It's like, how can I help? How do you want to get home? I'm like, I don't know. Like, okay, do you want to fly home? So as it turns out, Haggerty is something called Private Client Services, PCS. I only know this because I'm a member. There's a certain amount.
It's a bulk discount.
If you have a certain dollar amount of cars insured or a certain number of cars, you become PCS, which just entitles you to slightly different. You can purchase different coverages. I don't know the ins and outs of this. All I know is when I was offered everything, I said yes. Like tool coverage, trip interruption coverage. Yes, all of the things. And I'm so glad I did that because I envisioned I'm 1,200 miles away from home. I hit a deer. What the fuck do you do? How do you get home, right? So the lady on the phone is like, we have this coverage, whatever. One was like trip interruption will get you home no matter what you need to do, just get home. Don't worry about that. Then we have, because your car is more than 150 miles away, I think that was the delineator. Basically, you can't like Haggerty roadside the car home. You have a different set of coverage that kicks in to get the car home or wherever you want it. Like we'll ship it to a shop, we'll ship it to home. That's all covered. And then, by the way, don't worry about shipping it somewhere near your home. Ship it to where you want the car to be fixed, because then we'll have a different coverage that will get it back to you if you need help getting the car home. I said, okay, well, let me just leave it at Jay's garage and just fly home. Like I left my house at 4:00 in the morning. It's now 1 in the
presumably without a toothbrush or anything like that.
No, I mean, I did sort of expect to maybe spend the night. I just didn't have any plans. But at this point, like, I just want to go home. Like I had a really bad day. I crashed a 45-year-old at beautiful condition. See, I didn't say beautiful Rover SD1. And I felt terrible about it. And I just wanted to go home. Leno's garage is at the airport, is like at Burbank Airport. So I just asked Jay, I'm like, would you mind if I leave the car here for a couple of days until I can have it picked up? And I just fuck off. And he was like, yeah, no, do whatever you need. So I just flew home. So next day I get a call from the claims adjuster. And she's like, okay, did you decide anything? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just going to ship the car home. And I flew home. She's like, okay, send me all your receipts. I'm like, well, let me wait until I get the car shipped or whatever. So 2 days later, I have our usual shipping guy that we use. I call him. I'm like, do you have a empty truck leaving LA anytime soon? He's like, I have one coming tonight. Like just driving right past Burbank. Would you do me a favor and pick up my Rover? Like, and just bring it back to me. And he's like, what happened? I told him. He's like, oh man, that sucks. Okay. So he picks it up. I pay him. So now I call the claims adjuster and I'm like, I have my airfare, an Uber to get me home from the airport, and the car shipping. Within 1 hour of emailing those receipts, I had a link to click on to get the money deposited directly into my bank account. No questions asked. And I was like, where's the catch? Like, is this held against me? No, that's just the insurance you have. Okay. They sent me a link to take photographs with an app, to take photographs of and I've been there before, I did this with the Beat, to take photographs of the damage. 24 hours later, an appraiser or some other Haggerty person called me and was like, hey, I'm working on your case. I had to look up to see what the hell a SD1 was. Like, he didn't use that language, but I'm sure he was like, what the fuck is this car? Found some parts online. I've been doing some research. We have a number. And then while I'm on the phone, I get an email from the original claims agent with a PDF copy of that report and a link to claim the money. I was paid out in full for the claim of the car within 26 hours of submitting the claim and within 48 hours of the whole thing, with apologies from everyone on the way and requests of how can I help you? The difference between this and that car being insured by Farmers Co. of Guy or anything else, just a tradition. It's nothing to do with the insurance company and everything to do with the type of insurance. That car is totaled. That car is, according to its market value, is totaled. That would be the end. That Rover would be au revoir. Done.
Or over. That would
over
have been a
Rover.
easier.
The Rover is over. Yeah. For nothing. For what is effectively a
the
parking
definition
lot.
of a fender bender, I think that is
Technically did the hood and broke the side marker. But yeah, that is a fender bender. And I mean, this is a couple $1,000 repair. And there is no end to the, first of all, if Haggerty hadn't paid, or if I had a regular insurance company and I knew that they were just going to fight me and total it, I would just pay out of my pocket. Number one, because I feel terrible for having done that to a car. And number two, I'm not ready to say goodbye to the Rover. So I'm paying one way or another. The difference between knowing that I would be gearing up for the fight of that car's life, not of my life, because I already done that with the Scirocco, and knowing that I would not be able to keep my car that I love is horrifying. So I've talked to the people on the insurance side. I cannot sell policies and do whatever else, but I did buy a URL, and I want to know how many of you people are going here. I'm going to set up a URL with a forwarding, jasonsentme.com, and we will pull this in the thing that will go over to Haggerty. And I just want to see how many people do this. Go and get a quote, because, and this is not Jason as a Haggerty employee saying any of this. This is Jason as a car person who really almost lost his Scirocco, his E30, his Beat, and now this. Right? This car would be gone. The Scirocco would have been gone if Lou hadn't pulled that move. The E30 would have been gone if it was insured with anyone else. And these are things that are so important to me that it would have been nightmare. The Scirocco took years off my life, saving that car from being totaled. Sorry to say, it doesn't matter that I work for this company. I wouldn't insure this in my cars. I wouldn't have my cars because I wouldn't be able to drive them because I wouldn't trust the insurance company, but I wouldn't insure my cars with another company if they gave me insurance for free, period. And I think that's the highest endorsement I can give to anyone. So as a thank you for what Haggerty just did to me with this claim, knowing that my car will...
Not to you.
Did for me, for the Rover, for this claim. As a thank you for knowing that this car will be back on the road, fixed, looking even more beautiful than ever, I'm doing this back for Haggerty and saying, guys, go get a quote, go get insurance.
You're making me want to go have a car crash.
Please don't.
I know, I'm kidding. I hate having car crashes. I mean, not that I really have had any.
It's a terrible feeling to take something that you love and bash it into a pickup truck. It's a horrible, terrible feeling. Like, how could I have been so stupid?
Yeah, it's a moment you replay over and over
and over again. And all I can say is, thank God I didn't pit maneuver him by mistake. He didn't spin out and get hit by a Mack truck. I didn't get hit by a Mack truck. I mean, these things go from, of course, my Instagram feed is all full of I follow a thing called That'll Buff Out. Mm-hmm. And it's just like one horrendous accident after the next. And you're always like, oh, that's not going to be so... Like, is that?
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. You know how quickly this stuff can escalate. I'm so thankful that all it was a boom. Oh, shit. God, now I scratched the bumper on the way to Leno's. Right? That's all that I thought it was. It could have been so much worse. But I want to educate all of the people. I do this all the time personally among all of our friends and everyone else.
I mean, it happens at Cars and Coffee or anytime there's...
Haggerty's expensive, or Haggerty this, or Haggerty that.
The funny thing is, I don't find it expensive most of the time. So, I mean, I remember specifically when I switched to Haggerty, my cost went down by a third.
Yeah, mine too.
And a lot of times people will write to me and say, blah, blah. Like, the motorcycle insurance is ridiculously cheap because, the bikes that I ride are historically very expensive conventionally to insure. It could be $1,200-$1,500 a year
for a motorcycle
for those bikes. Yeah,
probably for
with conventional insurance,
medical payments alone.
Yeah, but with Haggerty, it's like $150.
I can't talk about premiums because I don't know what everyone else pays. And frankly, after 20 years, I'm not with this company. I'm not shopping around.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like the difference between knowing that I have a bubble of protection around me where we've already agreed on the value of the vehicle. That's the key point, right?
Yes.
We've already done it when the car is whole. And if I don't like the number, I can go shop with someone else, right? Or I can work with the agents on the phone and send them pictures or send them copies of the trophies. All the shit I had to do in the Scirocco after it was crashed just to save it is stuff that you can do in advance. And so again, it doesn't matter what company you go with, make sure it's an agreed value policy. And for the record, my dad had a fire in the 6.9. I think we might have ever talked about this.
Yeah, I think so.
100 years ago, I sold him my Mercedes 6.9 and it burned to the ground. And he had, while he was driving it, so thank God he got out, he had, with another insurance company, he had a stated value policy of 30, I think it was $30,000 stated value, and was paying premiums on a $30,000 stated value, right, for the car. And then when the accident happened, I think they offered him something like 8. Or when the fire happened, he offered something like 8. And he's like, wait, what's going on here? And it turns out that a stated value at the time in the state that he lived in, I am not an insurance expert. In fact, I'm an insurance idiot. I know nothing about insurance. I have to say this because we are part of the Haggerty
Professional
podcast
driver.
Professional driver, close course. The insurance company offered him, I think it was $8,000, and they said, no, hold on. Your stated value is not a guaranteed value. It is a ceiling. It's the insurance company limiting themselves to that amount with no guarantee that they would ever come close to paying that amount. And he's like, but you've charged me premiums on that amount for all these years. And like,
yeah, isn't that sweet for us?
Yeah. He sued. I mean, it's the only time my father ever got a lawyer in his life and won. And they gave him 20 something, whatever. They were able to prove the car was worth 20 something thousand bucks, minus the legal fees and whatever. He wound up with barely more than the $8,000 that they told him. And the difference between that and like, okay, my car is totaled, we've agreed on the value. I mean, when I had the discussion with the agent on the phone about this car, she was like, okay, you've declared the value. We've agreed to X amount of value. They do I think this might be private client services, but they do a quarterly increase in value to keep track with inflation, just to make sure you're covered during that 12-year policy window if the car's appreciating. She's like, you have a little bit more to work with. If the car turns out to be a total loss, this is the amount we'll give you. And it's the amount that we agreed on, plus that thing. No BS, no questions, none of like, well, we looked at your Rover and, we saw a ding on the hood. And did you ever consider that? Or, one just sold on Bring a Trailer with, for $46.50. And I'm like, well, that didn't have an engine in it and rust holes inside of it. None of this bullshit, which is exactly what you'd get from anyone else.
Yep.
So I set up that, again, jasonsentme.com. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. I just want to know, go and get a quote and understand the difference between negotiating the value of your car and insuring it at that value versus waiting until it's already crashed. Because shit happens.
Shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, I drive my cars, I do my annual thing. All of my old cars, 12,000 miles a year. That's a lot of miles to put on 30, 40, 50-year-old cars. And if I think back to over the 20 years, shit's happened. Shit has happened. I mean, knock on wood, it's never been anything major. No one's ever gotten hurt. But the dumb bitch that rear-ended me in the pickup truck when I was in the beat, hey, that happened. It was because I was driving the car so that to my friend's house where I was staying for New Year so that I can get up the next morning and do a classic car rally. Sitting in a red light, minding my own business. Bam! rammed. I got my ass rammed. My beat ass got rammed by whatever it was. We came up with something at the time that was funny. But it was one of these, oh God, I hope it's not totaled, because that's another worthless car, right? The worst part of owning a worthless car is that it's gone like that. A fender bender totals it. Well, you can avoid that. Also, I don't know if Hagerty would work with most people about, the one-time payout like they did on my E30 to settle the claim. But I wasn't private client at that point. I was just Joe P. Moron / Jason Camisa, the moron. And that was a possibility. The key point is we'd agreed on the value and they were willing to work with me, not be my adversary. And so, number one, I wouldn't consider insuring my car without an agreed value, period. And number two, after my personal experiences as a just normal customer with Hagerty, I hope they don't double my rates, but they could double my rates and I wouldn't consider going anywhere else, because the most important thing to me is protecting my assets. And this is not a financial thing, assets-wise. It's an emotional thing. I have an emotional attachment to most of my cars. I have a shit ton of money invested in and even more time in that. But so this is the episode that I've was told I'm not going to do. I've never talked about insurance on any of the Hagerty videos that I do. And I never thought we would do in Carmudgeon, but it's just, I'm so appreciative of what this company has just done that they deserve our audience to understand. This is a literal matter of survival, life and death for your old cars. And I'm a fucking idiot for punting a pickup truck.
Oh, how'd the pickup truck make out?
It's fine. The bumper got pushed in, an inch. I mean, it's one of these things that it was such a non-event that I'm like, I genuinely thought it was going to be a scratch. And had we impacted, 100% coverage to 100% coverage, yeah, bumper to bumper, there wouldn't have been a scratch. I hit the Rover, obviously totally missed the bumper and hit a portion of the car that is no structure behind it. And on the pickup, it was the extreme left edge of his bumper, so there's no support there. So it did push that bumper in a bit. I don't know what damage was in his car. I mean, I immediately called and I said, it's my fault. I would love to just grab him by the neck. I would love to interact with that person and say, why did you slow down? He must have hit the brakes. I don't know. I was looking. I mean, I wasn't, it was like, I'm obviously not going to be driving while staring in the mirror for minutes on end. It was a glance, another glance, and then a really where is boom? And so I didn't see brake lights because I didn't see the back. I didn't see the impact. It was just bam. What? Oh, damn it. I scratched the bumper. No, I totaled my car. So now I have to go and find parts for that car.
Well, hopefully you were hoping to take a vacation in England.
Nope. But I did find Rimmer Brothers in the UK has brand new fenders. Wings, as they're called.
Wings, yes.
So I'm going to buy a new wing.
That's a near side wing in England.
It's a near side, yes. Which means that you have one contact on this side for the nearsightedness and one. No, it's a near side wing, a corner light. And again, here's my thing. I feel a lot bad on the car. And so I have this thing, you damage a car, you put it back. At the very least, worst case scenario, you put it back to the way it was before. Best case, you use the opportunity for an upgrade. So if I can find them, I think I'd like to do Series 2 headlights, which will fit that grille properly and will not stick down 2 inches or 1.5 inches below the front, the hood, because it looks dorky right now. So the one thing about this car that mercifully few people have commented on, and because now
it's because nobody knows how it's supposed to look,
right? Because a million people have seen the video on this, the Revelations video on this car. Those headlights should not be sticking down that far. They should be effectively flush with the bottom of the hood. Mm-hmm. So it looks a little bit dorky. That was done because we got the car home with the US headlights, and my buddy Sean was like, get those fucking horrible headlights off the car. I'm like, yeah, first thing we got to do. A, you can't see anything, and B, they're hideous. And he had a set of Series 1 headlights. So this is a Series 1 car, but the Series 1 cars have a blue or, body colored strip
fillet
below them, but they also have a trim piece that covers the bottom inch or so of the headlight. Mm-hmm. So it all fits in fits, but they're recessed in kind of awkwardly. They look smaller, but they're recessed in a weird way. Series 2, which is this grill that he also gave me, has physically smaller headlights. So I'll do that. If I have to buy, I can't find a single US corner marker. Like, that's just never going to happen.
Why don't you do
I'm just going to
UK
European
on both sides?
Yeah, I'll do European corner markers just because that's what's available. And then I'm done. And the car gets put back. And as it turns out, it looks like we're going to do the Redline team, Haggerty's Redline rebuild team, is going to do a motor for me. Oh. So I think I'm just going to put it on a truck and say, all right, I'll fly to Michigan. I'll pull the motor out with you guys. Let's have a party. I can apologize to the car one last time, ship it over to a body shop. They can make a video making a Buick 215 hot rod motor for me. And then when I go to pick it up and drive it home or ship it home, whatever I wind up doing, I'll know that at least the car is better off than it was before this happened, which makes the whole
ordeal forgivable.
Just less painful, right? We all fuck up. It happens. Could have been worse. I really wish I could have just not said a word, fixed the car, say, hey, I upgraded the headlights, and never had to admit to you that I crashed your favorite Rover. You have no affinity for this car, do you?
I don't really for any car.
I wish I was more like you.
It's about repeatability. This car is unrepeatable, actually, I would say.
That's surprising to hear from you.
Well, I mean, when was the last time you saw one of those?
I keep getting pictures of the maroon one sent to me.
With California plates.
It's in LA. Yeah. I saw it on the side of the road, did quite the Roscoe P. Coltrane U-turn to get pictures of it once. I don't remember what the hell I was in, but it was very much it was in a Miata press car, and I just e-braked it and spun around and went and chased it down. It's a maroon US spec.
With blue plates.
Manual with blue plates and leather. Mm-hmm. And people in LA just keep sending me pictures of it because they keep seeing it. Right, that's it. That's it. I don't think I've ever seen another one in this color in person. I've never seen another one in this condition. And the truth of the matter is, even if this car had been totaled, if this was a big crash and it had been totaled and I got payout from Haggerty for the amount I had insured, it might cover buying a Vitesse, which is the 190 horsepower sort of homologation one in Europe. But I don't want a Series 2. I agree with you. I think the car's unrepeatable. I guess the other question is...
Today.
Do you think I should upgrade to Euro bumpers or leave it US?
I would.
I mean...
That was the first thing I said when I saw the picture you sent me, or when I saw
God damn it,
you missed the horrible US bumpers. Why didn't you bonk those?
I don't know. If I can find a set of used good condition Euro bumpers... Again, while you're in a body shop, right? Have them mount them up.
A little extra work done.
God knows what's underneath those. I mean, there's no rust on the car, but God knows what's underneath those wraparound plastic corner things.
It's probably a rodent nest or something.
Or an ant burrowed through. And I mean, this car's made out of paper. So yeah, I will probably see if I can find additional parts for it. So I get it back. It'll be prettier than ever, less sort of walrus bucktooth, because the headlights, if I can't, I've looked, I can't seem to find any Series 2 headlights anywhere in the world. Series 1 are all over the place, but Series 2 just don't seem to exist, strangely. And then I have to make brackets. Maybe I'll call our friend Adis, who makes us these really cool stuff, and ask him if he can 3D print me headlight brackets.
A new Rover SD1.
Yeah, he can start a new business of 3D
Rover
printing
SD1 replicas,
replica headlight brackets to convert Series 1 cars to Series 2 headlights, and all one Jason will buy that from him. Yeah.
Well,
shit situation, shit sandwich.
Good job making lemonade.
Hey.
Or lemonade in progress.
Hey, I feel like I owe that to Haggerty because of how I've been treated from day one. And again, nothing to do with the fact that I'm an employee. They didn't know. I mean, they figured it out, but that certainly wasn't an employee for my other claims. And it's been magic. So cannot give a better review. 5-star. Wow. So, au revoir to the Rover.
For now.
And
It's not... well, yes, it's the little dictionary definition of au revoir, which is until I see you again, as opposed to goodbye.
Yeah, we have Reliable coming to pick it up to bring it to Michigan. And then I will probably Delta my way there.
It will be the most expensive car in the entire truck, undoubtedly.
When you say most expensive, how do you define that, given it
I'm
will
assuming it's going to be empty.
Yes. A 16-car carrier with one car in it, and the other 15 empty spaces will be worth more than the one. Yeah. This is the problem with having ship boxes, right? You can't total a McLaren F1. Rowan Atkinson tried.
Repeatedly.
You can't
Fire.
total. As long as you have a VIN plate, you can make a new one. I mean, somebody told me it would be $3 million.
A VIN fire.
A VIN fire.
That car suffered a VIN fire.
I think it would be $3 million to make a McLaren F1.
So why aren't people doing that?
I don't know. I mean, what's it going to be worth? I don't know. But there is a certain dollar amount. Like, you can make a new Mura. Absolutely. You can go find
There'd be
whatever.
some stuff you'd have to dig up, but you probably could find it eventually.
You could do it, and it wouldn't be. What's a McLaren F1 worth?
20.
Yeah, I don't think they're totalable. I mean, there are very few ways to total a double-digit $1 million car, and regular cars that are worth. Think about it this way: you crash an F40. Like, there were the string of crashes in F40 last year, right? I mean,
This year.
Was this year? Whatever it was, I just keep seeing them in my Instagram reels. What are they worth?
3-4 million.
How the hell do you do $3-4 million? I mean, 85% or 75%, whatever it is, of that kind of debt. If it's $4 million car,
I think it's probably just stuff you can't get, Right. And I guess you're saying it would be feasible to make it.
If they made it once, they can make it again. Right? I mean, once you start getting to carbon tubs and, whatever else, it gets...
Engine castings. But
sure you can find
and Gartner does it.
I'm sure you can find something, right? That's my thing is it's the sort of regular everyday. So everyone thinks that Haggerty's business is insuring like $gazillion car collections. I think
the data that we consumed was very interesting on this subject.
We talked about this is public, right?
I think we talked about it.
They were all like the
top 20 most insured cars
were Mustangs.
They were all American.
Corvettes,
there was not a single car.
Volkswagen Beetle. That's it.
It's
bread and butter cars.
Well, it's just volume, right? It's the volume. It's like these guys who are billionaires because they make disposable diapers or styrofoam cups or plastic bags or
in huge volume.
But in massive volumes.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I would say is that Haggerty does have restrictions. Let me sell this. Again, I'm not an employee. This is anecdotal shit from what everyone yells at me about. Yes, I'm not an insurance employee. People complain that the Haggerty won't give me insurance because I don't have a place to store my car. Well, fair enough, right? The whole point, not fair enough. I don't know what the actuarial data is, whatever. But I can understand that, right?
The reason why the rates are sort of tenable as they are is because the cars sit in sort of safety for the vast majority of the time.
I mean, the lengths I go through to protect my piles of shit, and I mean that. I mean, my car, other than the 850, my cars are kind of worthless, right? I was looking the other day at somebody in my garage, like, wow, how do you have all these cars? Okay, Scirocco I paid $1,500 for, E30 I paid $1,500 for, Cabby I paid $2,200 for. Like, these are not, they're worth a lot more now, but I've had them for 20 to 30 years. They're not hugely expensive cars, and I go through great lengths to protect them. So I understand a street, you're gonna street park your insert name of enthusiast car every day. That's not a collectible car then. That's your transport. Right? Or you're going to park it, you live in the hood and you're going to park it in your front lawn. Maybe you should reconsider protecting your car because...
Yeah, I mean, I'm somewhat ashamed to admit the number of sort of important life decisions I've made on the basis of parking.
We live in a very geographically compressed, densely populated area. Where the roads are tiny, the garages are tiny, storage space is tiny.
And people are shitters. There's so many, there's just people who just are so disrespectful. I will never forget, I don't need to tell this story, but a woman hit my car while she was parking my first 911, and I ran downstairs and confronted her, and she opened her window and she said, "It's a bumper and it's San Francisco." These are the people out there.
She's dead now, right?
Declined to respond. I know her address. I still have it memorized because I was so enraged. I hope considerable ill befalls her, if it hasn't already.
I mean, I've continued to hope that about the Beat. Bitch.
Yeah.
But look, the Scirocco got rear-ended in, 99. They were sitting at a stoplight or stop sign waiting to go through. And there was this woman behind me with 2 kids in the car and she was screaming at them. And you just know. Like, you just know. Same thing with the Beat. I did everything I could to get away from her, thought it was done, wound up at a red light a mile down the road, and bam, and it was her. But this chick was just manic and screaming at the kids, and I just kept looking at her. I'm like, oh my God, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. And then sure enough, bam, just hit me. That was the first claim that I had in the Scirocco. Like, okay, well, but that was an easy cut and dry, like she rear-ended me and whatever else. But I've had too many bad experiences with too many human beings on the road who just think, well, it's a car.
Yeah, it's disposable to them.
It is. And if I were driving a Ford Probe back in the day, I would have agreed. No offense to anyone with a Ford Probe, but I think honestly, the worst part about being
Looks up number of Ford Probes insured by Haggerty.
Yeah. Well, the only probe that I really care about is the one that I broke Nick Scambolari's car that we talked about a couple weeks ago. But the worst part about being an enthusiast, and I've said this to people for years, is that I am taking my favorite toy. Let's be realistic. These are toys, right? I'm taking my favorite possession, the thing that I care about more than in any other inanimate object in the world, and mixing it in
putting it
traffic
harm's way
with people who genuinely not even don't care, couldn't give a fuck less about their car. If it gets hurt, it's a car. It's an outfit. It's like somebody walking and stepping in a puddle in shoes. Are they going to cry about their shoes getting wet? No, this is my baby. I don't want my car to get wet, right? Like, I don't take my cars out in the wet. I won't take them out during rush hour. I won't drive them like in the dark. I won't go here. I won't go there. I'm neurotic about it. And everyone else is like, what's wrong with you? And so you're intermingling with the same people who Uber their cars and just don't care about any of it. That's the scary part, especially when they're worthless. That's why, to me, insurance, I get all of the insurance. Deductible? What's that? Why?
Yep.
Why? So I can get, I did have a deductible on this car, which I totally forgot about. And they're like, okay, so your check is X, and now the check you're going to get, the wire transfer that you will have, by the way, in an hour is X minus whatever my deductible was. And I was like, crap, insult to injury, but hey, my own fault. Now, after all this, I hope I don't get dropped.
I should hope not after the endorsement you just offered.
I don't get special treatment.
Yes.
I'm just a customer.
Yeah.
So anyway, jasonsentme.com. I will do my best to set that up with a link that goes just a redirect straight over to Haggerty's Get a Quote page. Don't yell at me if Haggerty says no because you have 73 points on your license, or 6 DUIs, 15 accidents, or you park your car.
No garage.
Right.
On the surface of the sun.
Right. This is not, have nothing to do with that.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
That's all right. And I'm downwind. That better not be if COVID laced, whatever. Can I get insurance, agreed value insurance against getting COVID? Or
what is the agreed value?
Well, I have 3 days of my life in bed. I'm worthless. 0. Great. Perfect.
So
Who will insure me for 0 against getting sick? Okay. Thank you for all
joining us.
Well, more importantly, not judging me for damaging the Rover.
Well, in 30 years, we'll look forward to hearing about what your next chargeable incident was.
I hope it's 30 more years. And I hope it's as small as this one. You didn't even ask what I did to the Corolla 30 years ago, did you? Like how badly that one was.
Which one, the curb?
The oil and the curb, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Car wasn't drivable. I punted the wheel back into the fender. I pushed the front wheel back.
Maybe that's why your front subframe fell out.
No. This is before that. And
exactly. That's why it subsequently fell out.
This was the reason why they think was Toyota, the dealership fixed the car. The reason they think that eventually did happen was they think they pulled the subframe out to do the repairs and then never torqued the bolts again. Mm. So actually, yes, it was not a Toyota problem. It was Jason smacked curb. 19-year-old Jason smacked curb.
And the dealer
fixed it and then didn't.
Fixed.
Well, they fixed the damage and then inserted a massive screw up by not tightening the subframe. By the way, I did the same thing. So it was front left wheel. I did the same thing to the Scirocco, and I did the same thing to my Mark III Golf. So bad things happen in 3. Those were
and don't be a front left wheel on one of Jason's cars.
Well, tell Jason to slow the fuck down. How about that? Which I do, and then this shit happens. I will hold on. Let me explain one thing. While I'm saying it's important to be a grown up and admit when you've done wrong, none of this shit would have happened if I was just driving like my normal self. If I was doing 70 miles an hour up that hill, weaving through the stupid people.
How does the song go? Can't drive 55?
I don't even think I was doing 55, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, you're bad at it.
Here's the moral of the story is don't ever try to act like a grown up. Just be you. If you're genetically wired to be an idiot, just be an idiot. Don't pretend. Doesn't work.
Okay, well, this week's words of wisdom from Jason. Go forth and idiot in public.
And don't hit other cars.
More wisdom from Jason.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to go hug the Rover.
Don't get a splinter.
I'll get
Or tetanus.
Yeah, tetanus. I can do this without denting it.
It's in. Hit the wall hard enough in your rear bumper and you'll get a new one.
The bumpers are strong enough. Plus, I have fucking great insurance.